Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, which is a missing piece between where you are and the life you want. I'm just going to share my screen so you can see. And I just want to check, can you see my screen? If you want to just
Yes.
give me a thumbs up. Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, amazing. Let's begin. So, missing piece between where you are and the life that you want. So, first of all, welcome so much. And I know life is busy. It's 5 o'clock. If you've joined me, you've probably just finished work. And you could have actually spent this time scrolling on your Instagram, maybe going to watch one of your, programs on Netflix, but instead you've chosen to join me. So I really appreciate that. And I can also say that's one of the best decisions that you'll make this week. So thank you so much for being here. Now, before we begin, I'd like you to do something for me. Okay, I want you to visualize it's exactly 1 year from today, and everything in your life has changed. Okay, you wake up feeling lighter, feeling calmer, feeling more confident, feeling healthier. Your relationships feel easy. Money is no longer causing you any stress. You wake up excited about work, and you're feeling like you, the version of you that you've always known was actually there. Now, here's a question from me to you. What would have needed to change for that future to become your reality? Most people answer this question like, I need more money. I need a better relationship. I need to lose weight. Or I need a new job. I need more confidence. And whilst those things might be true, they're not actually the first thing that needs to change. Okay, I'm going to suggest something that completely changed my life. Your life changes because you change, not the other way around. And now, can I ask you another question? Have you ever had one of those moments where you think, I know I'm capable of so much more than this? Not because your life is awful. Maybe you've got that, really nice family that you want, people who are caring around you. You've got a decent job. And people are probably thinking that you're doing really well. But on the inside, you know that something doesn't quite fit. You know there's another version of you waiting to come out. One that's more confident, more successful, more peaceful, one that doesn't overthink in every little decision, one that doesn't worry so much about what other people think, one that stops playing small, one that actually believes that they're enough. Has anyone felt that way before? Now, let me know in the chat. Let me know, put your hands up. Have you felt that? Because if that's the case, then you're in the right place. Because I too have felt exactly that. Yeah, Maria saying definitely. Yeah, Maria, I've been there. I've been there. So I totally understand. And let me tell you something that might make you smile, because when I first started learning about manifestation, healing, aligning yourself, I thought I had actually cracked the code. Okay, I had my vision board, I had my affirmations, I even drank magic water. Okay, I was saying I'm abundant, I'm successful, the universe has my back. I love money, money loves me. Meanwhile, like 5 minutes later, I'd be sitting in some traffic and I'd be shouting at someone who had cut up in front of me, thinking, honestly, some people shouldn't be allowed to drive. Like that was the situation that I was in. Or I'd tell myself, I'm calm, I'm peaceful, I'm attracting miracles. And then I'd open up one of my work emails and some awkward email would come in. And then I'd be literally feeling low, feeling fearful again. That was me. Is anyone else in that boat? Because the truth is, most of us are brilliant at saying positive things, but only for a few moments. And then life happens, right? And that's exactly why I created this training, because I've spent years asking myself one question: why do some people genuinely transform their lives while other people spend years reading books, listening to podcasts, watching motivational videos, making vision boards, repeating affirmations, and then actually nothing changes? What is that missing piece? Because let's be honest, information never has been easier to access, right? With the internet, with AI, with ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, you've got so many AIs. You don't even need to go and do a Google search. You can learn almost anything on YouTube. You can listen to podcasts. You can read books. So why, if information was enough, are so many intelligent people out there still feeling stuck? And I don't believe it's because people are lazy. I don't believe it's because people don't want it enough. I certainly don't believe it's because the universe has favorites. I believe most people are simply missing a few very important pieces of this puzzle. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Let's move on to slide 2. So let's just recap and just tell you where we are going to be at the end of today. You're going to understand why you've been feeling stuck. Even if you've been working incredibly hard, you'll understand why change often feels exciting for a few days before you somehow drift back into those old habits. You'll discover why affirmations sometimes seem to work, and then sometimes they don't. And most importantly, you'll leave with a completely different way of looking at yourself. Not with guilt, not with shame, but with understanding. Because when we understand ourselves, we stop fighting ourselves. And that's when real transformation begins. So before we go any further, I'd love to know who is here in the room. How many of you would say that you overthink? Let me know in the chat. Let me know, put your hands up. How many of you think you are overthinking? Again, yes, there's that show of hands. And how many of you are harder on yourself than you would ever be on somebody else, a partner, spouse, somebody at work? Because I know I've done that. How many of you have ever tried? You've started something with loads and loads of motivation, only to find yourself slipping back to those old habits. And then how many of you are finding deep down that you're capable of so much more than you've allowed yourself to experience so far? Yeah. Now, today isn't about learning how to become someone else. It's about discovering the person you've always been underneath the fear, the self-doubt, the emotional patterns that have been holding you back. Because I don't believe that you're broken. I don't believe that you need fixing. I believe the life you want is already possible. And that's the missing piece, is learning how to become the version of yourself who can create it. And that's exactly what we're going to explore together today. So, are we ready? We're going to go through my story, why people stay stuck. We look at the missing piece 1. We look at the missing piece 2. At that point, I will offer you a chance to join my manifestation mastery. And then we will move on to missing piece 3 before we move on to the final piece, which is your future. Now, the last piece, missing piece number 3, is an experience that will help you heal. So even though you don't want to go and purchase manifestation mastery, please do stay till the experience, because I just want you to feel that and move away lighter. I don't, you don't need, there's no compulsion to buy from me today, but I'd like you to experience the healing and the feeling of being lighter so that you can go away taking something really tangible away with you. So let's move on to my story. Okay, let me tell you why I'm here. Because honestly, about 8 years ago, I'd never imagined myself talking about emotional healing, subconscious patterns, programming, manifestation. In fact, if you'd met me back then, you probably would have described me as sensible, responsible, hardworking, a person who always did the right thing. I believed success came from working harder than anybody else. Can you relate to that? Okay. You just keep pushing, keep working, keep trying, and eventually something will fall into place. And that's what I believed. And for a while, it looked like that. I built an incredible business that grew to 6 figures in just 18 months. Everything happened so incredibly quickly. The business was growing, the clients were coming in, and I had the most amazing team. Money was coming in, I had celebrity clients, I had companies, I had influencers. People were telling me how successful I was. And to be honest, from the outside, it looked like I'd actually made it. Have you ever looked at someone's life and thought, wow, they've got all their shit together? That was me, or at least that's what people thought. But here's what nobody saw. Every time the business grew, or I had a bigger, a better client, instead of feeling excited, the excitement was there, but the excitement turned into anxiety. Every time more money came in, I worried about losing it. Every opportunity felt so exciting for about 5 minutes. And then my brain would immediately ask questions. What if I can't keep this up? What if something goes wrong? What if people realize that you're not good enough? Has anyone else's brain done that before? Because you finally get that thing that you wanted, and instead of enjoying it, you're already imagining losing it. And I actually thought there was something wrong with me. So what did I do? Exactly what most people do. I worked harder, because that's what we're taught, isn't it? We're taught if things aren't working, work harder. I had less sleep. I did more. I kept pushing myself. The amount of coffees and Red Bulls I went through, and it was insane. And you just think that magically everything will sort itself out. But instead, what I was doing was I became busier. But instead, inside of me, I wasn't becoming stronger. I was actually becoming more and more overwhelmed. And I didn't even realize that this was all happening on the inside. Then something changed, and that completely changed my life without realizing it. I sabotaged the very business I'd worked so hard to build. My accountant told me how much I'd actually made, and that self-worth pain came in. I didn't believe at that time that I deserved success. I began to avoid decisions. I began to second guess myself. I began to play smaller. I began to stop charging what I should and what I had been charging. I was questioning myself over and over again. I was putting off sending off quotes. I was telling myself, I'll do it tomorrow. Does that sound familiar? And I kept asking myself that one question: why? Why would someone spend so much time and energy building something only to slowly pull it apart? It didn't make sense. And it's not as if I was incapable. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I had done. So why wasn't I doing it? Then I came across something that literally changed everything. I realized I hadn't failed because I couldn't manifest success. I'd failed because I didn't yet have the emotional capacity to hold success. Let me just say that again. I didn't have the emotional capacity to hold success. And that sentence changed my life, because up until then, I actually thought manifestation was all about creating something. I discovered it was actually about becoming someone. And those are two totally different things. You see, I had learned how to build a successful business, but I hadn't learned how to feel safe within myself having one. I had learned how to make money, but I hadn't learned how to emotionally receive it. And nobody teaches us how to build the capacity to hold the life that we've been asking for. A bit like a 60-watt bulb. You've got a bulb in the light. That 60-watt bulb can only hold 60 watts. You start putting 100 watts in there and it will glow. And that is what happens to you. Inside, I was still carrying fear, self-doubt, people-pleasing, perfectionism, the constant feeling that I had to prove myself. Nothing outside me had changed that feeling on the inside. So what happened? I became obsessed. I wanted answers, not quick fixes, not another motivational quote. I wanted real answers. I wanted to understand why intelligent, capable, hardworking people still stayed stuck. And that's the journey that led me to studying emotional healing, subconscious programming, the nervous system, identity work, human behavior, neuroscience, EFT, Ho'oponopono, meditation, coaching, manifestation, metaphysics, law of attraction, and so much more. But something incredible started happening. As I healed emotionally, the outside of my life started changing naturally. I wasn't forcing confidence anymore. I genuinely felt more confident. I wasn't pretending to be calm. I actually became calmer on the inside. I stopped making decisions from fear. I started making them from possibility. I can say my health changed. Opportunities that I attracted definitely changed. Not because I wished harder, but because I was becoming a different person. And that's why I do what I do today, because I realized something. Most people don't need more information. They already know what to do. They know they've got to exercise. They know they've got to drink more water. They know they've got to lower their carbs and increase their protein. They know they've got to believe in themselves, stop overthinking. They know they've got to set those boundaries. They know they've got to put themselves first and love themselves first. They know that. Knowledge isn't the problem. The problem is that their emotional programming keeps pulling them back to who they've always been or they know how to be. And that's why change feels so difficult, because you keep running back to those old patterns. And that's exactly what I want to help you understand today. Not because I want you to copy my journey, but because I want you to stop believing that you're broken. You're not broken. You're simply running patterns that made sense at one point of your life, but they no longer serve you and your future and what you're wanting to create. And the beautiful thing about these patterns is they can be changed. So let's explore why so many of us stay stuck, even when we desperately want to move forward. So let me ask you a question today. Have you ever promised yourself, this time it'll be different? Monday morning, maybe even the beginning of the year. I know we're like more than halfway through the year. We have that fresh start, the new diet, the new routine, that new mindset. Okay, you're drinking that green smoothie. You've bought a new notebook. You've written your goals. You've even color coded them, because that's obviously going to make that happen. But by midweek or by Thursday, you started eating biscuits again. You've gone back to what you said you wouldn't do. How many of you have done that? Because I certainly have been there. And the interesting thing is, most people think they have a motivation problem, but they don't. They have a programming problem. And those are two very, very different things. So I want you to imagine your mind is like a mobile phone. Every app you've ever downloaded, every photograph, every content, every habit, every belief is stored inside of that phone. Now, imagine you've been using that phone for 20, 30 years. Some of the apps are brilliant, but some of them you downloaded years and years ago, you'd never use them again. But they're still running quietly in the background, right? Draining the battery. And our minds work in exactly the same way. Many of the beliefs that we carry today were downloaded years and years ago, often when we were children, without even realizing it. Maybe you heard money doesn't grow on trees. Don't show off. Be grateful for what you've got. People like us don't do things like that. Or perhaps you learned, don't upset people. Keep everyone happy. Work hard and don't complain. If you make a mistake, you've failed. Or something that I learned recently about myself. Respect means obedience. Does it? None of us chose those beliefs. We inherited many of them. And here's the challenge. Most people try to build a new future using the old operating system. Now, can you see why that becomes difficult? Your conscious mind is saying, I want confidence. I want growth. Your subconscious mind says, stay where you are because you're safe. Your conscious mind says, I want more money. Your subconscious mind says, money causes stress. Your conscious mind says, I want a healthy relationship. Your subconscious says, don't trust people. Then we wonder why we feel stuck. I'd love you to think about this. Have you ever met someone who always seems to attract drama? No matter where they work, and I can, definitely. No matter who they date, no matter where they live, there's always drama. There's different people, different places, but it's the same pattern. Or perhaps someone who always struggles with money. Every time they get ahead, and again, I can relate to this. Let me know in the chat if you think this is relatable to you. You get ahead, you got money coming in, then something happens. The washing machine breaks, the car needs repairing. Something unexpected appears. Different circumstances, it's the same pattern. And I don't believe life is trying to punish us. I don't believe that's the case. I believe that life keeps reflecting back the patterns we haven't yet changed. And once we change the pattern, that reflection also changes. And one of the biggest myths in personal development is this: if I know better, I'll do better. Would you agree? The problem is most of us already know better. We know we should exercise. We know we should sleep more. We know we shouldn't compare ourselves on social media. We know we shouldn't worry so much. We know we shouldn't eat the whole packet of chocolate biscuits. Although, let's be honest, sometimes they do mysteriously disappear, don't they? So is knowledge the problem? No, right? Think about this. If information alone created transformation, everyone who bought a cookbook would be a brilliant chef, right? Everyone who read a book on relationships would have that perfect marriage. Everyone who bought a budgeting book would be wealthy. But that's not how life works. Because information changes what you know, but experience changes who you become. And that sentence, that changed everything for me. That's when I realized I hadn't built my business because I knew more than everybody else. I built it because I'd become someone who was taking different actions. Because emotionally, I'd become the old version of me again. My identity quietly returned to what felt familiar. That's what I had done. And that's why lasting transformation has to happen on more than one level. Now, I want to introduce you to a very simple model that completely changed the way I coach people. Everything we create in life follows a pattern. Starts with our thoughts. Our thoughts create emotions. Our emotions influence and reinforce our beliefs. And then they influence the actions that we take. And these produce the results in our lives. Yep, would you agree? Right? Most people, they try to change the actions. When things aren't working, they think, oh, I'll do this in a different way. But real transformation starts with your thoughts. Okay? Doesn't start with another motivational quote. It doesn't start with a vision board. It doesn't start with trying harder. It's changing what's happening underneath that surface. So here's the good news. If you've been feeling stuck, It's not because you're broken, and it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're not clever enough. It's because your mind has been faithfully repeating the patterns it's learned over the years. And the good thing is, if they've been learned, they can be unlearned. And that's where the journey begins. So let's look at the missing piece number 1. Become the person who creates and holds the life that you want. So now we know why most people stay stuck. The next question becomes, how do we actually change? Because let's be honest, knowing you've got old patterns doesn't automatically remove them. If only it was that easy. I want you to imagine going into a dentist, and the dentist says, good news, we've actually found that problematic tooth. And you say, brilliant. Then they say, that's all I wanted to tell you. Have a lovely day. No, finding the problem isn't enough. You want the solution. So let's go look at where lasting change actually begins. So I'd like you to imagine an iceberg. Okay. What you see above the water, the tip, that's what everybody else sees, right? Our results, our health, our relationships, our career, flourishing, our finances, our confidence. But what keeps the iceberg afloat is everything underneath. That's exactly how our lives work. Your results are visible, but your patterns aren't. Now, I've coached people who desperately wanted more money, but underneath, they believed that they weren't worthy. I've coached people who've believed, or they've wanted desperately to be loved, but underneath, they believe that everybody leaves. Or I always attract unemotional people. I've coached people who've wanted confidence, but underneath, they believe that they weren't good enough. So can you see the patterns underneath? And that last one, that was actually me. We spend so much of our time trying to change the tip of that iceberg without ever looking at the underneath. So your results are visible, but your patterns are not. And I want you to take you back to the main framework that I teach, and that's TIBA. Everything you create starts here. That's your thoughts. Every single day, your brain produces thousands and thousands of thoughts. Some of them are helpful, some not so helpful. Things like, I can do this. Or you could actually say to yourself, who am I kidding? I always mess things up. Nobody's going to buy from me. I'm not going to get that job. I'm far too old for this. Or even the opposite, I'm too young for this. I'm not clever enough. I don't have enough experience. I'm not attractive enough. I never finish anything. Now, does that sound familiar? Because here's what's fascinating. Every thought creates a feeling. If I stood here and said, I believe in you, how does that feel? Feels encouraging, right? It feels hopeful. And now imagine I said to you, you'll never succeed. Totally different feeling. It's the same brain, but a different thought producing a different emotion. And that's where most people stop. They think, I just need positive thoughts. But emotions repeated over time, again and again and again, they become beliefs. They become beliefs. And a belief isn't necessarily true. It's simply a thought that you've practiced time and time and time again. And when you do that, your brain accepts it as fact. Now, if I asked you, can you drive a car? And you'd probably say yes, right? Immediately without even thinking. You won't even need to convince yourself because you believe it. That's what beliefs do. They feel true. The challenge is that many of us believe things that aren't serving us. Things like, I'm not good enough. I've not done this, so I don't know how to do it. Money is hard to come by. People can't be trusted. Success is hard. My life is always a struggle. Money comes and goes. Again, they're not facts. They are just practiced thoughts. And beliefs influence something incredibly, incredibly important. Your actions. Now, if I genuinely believe I'm not good enough, will I confidently put myself forward for opportunities? Probably not, right? If I believe nobody will buy from me, will I enjoy selling? No. And if I believe relationships always end badly, will I open my heart? Probably not. So can you see, we don't just make decisions purely on logic. We make decisions based on what we believe. And then those actions create our results. Okay. So if I'm one of those people who constantly doubts myself, I hesitate, I procrastinate, I stay quiet, I avoid those opportunities. What results will I get? I'll get results. I'll get proof that nothing changes. And then what happens? Your brain will then turn around and see, I told you so. And that cycle just goes round and round. It repeats. It starts again, and you're in a loop. So here's something I'd love for you to remember. Your results don't reinforce your future. Your patterns do. And that's why trying harder doesn't always work. Working longer hours, reading more books, listening to podcasts, all those things that I've said, they do not work. The breakthrough isn't the learning. The breakthrough is changing what you repeatedly think. And that's what happened with me. How I repeatedly felt, how I repeatedly believed, and therefore how I repeatedly acted. Like I said, if I were to look at myself, even 4 years back, even 3 years back, I would not have imagined that I would be doing this. But now, because I've worked on myself, I'm confident enough to show up on camera and do this workshop with you guys. So I'd love to ask you this one question. If your life today is a reflection of your repeated thoughts, repeated emotions, repeated beliefs, repeated actions, what might need to change first? Your circumstances or your patterns? Because when your patterns change, your decisions will change. When your decisions change, your actions will change. When your actions change, your life begins to change. And that's why I don't believe manifestation begins with asking. Manifestation begins with becoming. And once you've become someone different, the opportunities that once felt impossible, they start to feel natural. Okay. So we're going to do this exercise. Okay. I'd love for you to do something with me. Okay. Take out your phone or a piece of paper. Write down one area of your life where you feel stuck, whether it's your well-being and health, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your finances, whether it's your career, whatever comes to mind. Okay? Now, underneath, write the thoughts you have about that area. And I want you to be honest because you're doing this exercise with yourself. Nobody's going to see this. Maybe it's the thought of, I always fail. I don't deserve more. People always judge me. Could be I'm scared. Now I want you to ask yourself, how do those thoughts make me feel? How do those thoughts make me feel? What emotions show up for you? Is it fear? Is it frustration? Anxiety? Hopelessness? Then ask, what have I started believing because I felt like this for so long? And finally, how do those beliefs affect the actions that I've taken or not taken? Have you got that written down? I just want to say congratulations because you've actually mapped out your own TEBA. Now, with that, we're going to move on to the next missing piece, which is daily alignment, the power of daily practice. So now we know what creates our patterns. It's your TEBA. Here's the next question. How do you stop repeating them? Because you've become aware. That's the first step. And that's what we've done. And that is so, so powerful. But awareness does not create transformation. Transformation comes from practice. And that's that second missing piece. So, we've just uncovered something really important. Your thoughts create your emotions. Your emotions reinforce your beliefs. Your beliefs drive your actions. Your actions create your results, right? Next question. How do we actually change those patterns? Because let's be honest, most of us have had moments where we felt completely inspired. We leave a workshop like this thinking, this is it. I'm going to buy a new notebook. I'm going to write a page with 10 goals. I'm going to drink 2 liters of water. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to start meditating. I'm going to smile at everyone and my life is going to be amazing. Then 3 days later, someone cuts you up in traffic. You get an email from your boss. Something happens and all of a sudden that new self that you had decided that you're going to be completely disappears. So whether you know it or not, your brain is always practicing every single day, every thought you repeat, every emotion you rehearse. Now, I want you to imagine walking through a field. The first time, the grass is tall, right? Just like the first picture. It's hard work, right? You can barely see where you're going. But when you walk the same path every single day, eventually you create a clear path. It becomes easy, automatic. You don't even have to think about it. Your brain works exactly the same way. The more often you think, I'm not good enough, the easier that thought becomes. the more often you worry, the easier worrying becomes. The more often you react with fear, that, because you've practiced it, it becomes true. And here is the really exciting part. The opposite is also true, right? You can literally practice becoming someone new. I know some people hear that and think, that sounds a bit fake. But let me ask you this. When you learned to drive, did it feel natural the very first time? No, right? You were probably thinking, clutch, mirror, signal, brake, don't stall, don't hit the cyclist. And it felt awkward because there's just so many things that you had to do. Your brain had never done it before. But now you look at it, you could probably drive anywhere or somewhere, let's say drive to work, and you don't even remember the journey. You know you've got in the car, and before you know it, you've got there. Why? Because repetition created that familiarity. Your brain learned a new pattern. So why do we expect confidence, calmness, abundance, self-worth, healthy boundaries to be any different? Because they are patterns too. And I often say your future isn't created by what you do occasionally. It's created by what you practice consistently, because practice creates identity. Now, think about someone who calls themselves a runner. They don't become a runner because they bought expensive trainers. They became a runner because they run. Someone becomes confident. Someone becomes calm. They have to practice these things. Someone becomes financially responsible by repeatedly making financial decisions that are responsible. And this is where most personal development stops. It gives you information, it gives you inspiration, but it doesn't give you enough repetition. So I'd like to ask you something here. How many of you brush your teeth every day? Put your hands up. And I do hope that's everybody. You don't wake up and think, shall I brush my teeth today or not? You just do it, don't you? Why? Because it's part of your identity. It's who you are. Now imagine if every single day you also brushed your mind. What if every day you internally practiced gratitude, peace, confidence, abundance, self-worth, forgiveness? Yeah. Think of all those things that you can practice on a daily basis. Because let's be honest, most people wake up, they pick up their phone, they read the news, check emails, look at the social media, compare themselves to somebody else. And before they've even got out of bed, their emotional state has already been hijacked. Because they're allowing the world to program them instead of programming themselves. That's why I realized transformation isn't a one-time event. It's daily practice. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. And that's exactly why I've created something called daily subconscious programming. Not because I wanted yet another product in my suite in my business. No, because I realized people didn't need another motivational talk. They needed a way to practice becoming the person that they wanted to be every single day. For just 30 minutes a day, we train the mind. We regulate the nervous system. We reinforce empowering beliefs. we visualize, we breathe, we repeat, because every day we're laying that other brick. And I often ask people, would you rather dig 100 holes, 1 foot deep, or would you rather dig one hole that's 100 feet deep? Most people spend their lives digging lots of little holes. A new book, a new podcast, a new course, a new technique, a new motivational speaker. There's nothing wrong with learning. I've been there and I'm still doing it. But transformation comes from going deeper, not wider. You don't want to spread yourself so thin that you're constantly just learning, and not doing the implementation. So here's my question to you. What would happen if for the next 30 days you deliberately practice becoming the version of you that you've been imagining? Not just once a week, not when you felt motivated, not when you just remembered, but every day. How might your thinking change? Your emotions, your beliefs, your decisions, your relationships, your opportunities. So much there. Because here's what I've learned over time. The person you become in private is the person the world eventually meets in public. And daily practice is how that person is created. So we've uncovered 2 of the missing pieces here. And before going further, let me just recap on what they were. The first one was understanding that your life changes when you change. Not your circumstances, it's when you change. The second is understanding that transformation doesn't happen because of one motivational moment. It happens through daily practice, because every day you're either reinforcing the person that you've always been, or you're becoming the person that you want to be. Now, you might be thinking, Sarita, this all makes sense, but where do I start? Because knowing what to do isn't always the same as doing it. This is exactly why I created my offer of manifestation mastery. Not because, again, I wanted another online course, not because I wanted to take money of you guys. That's not it. It's because I wanted to take the things that I've learned, I've implemented on my journey, and everything that's helped me rebuild my life from the inside out. That's what I'm doing now to help my clients and put it into one simple step-by-step process, which is called manifestation mastery. And I'd love to show you what we've created. This isn't just another manifestation course. It's a complete transformation journey, because manifestation isn't something that you do, as I've said. It's someone you become. So in this, we cover module 1. You master your emotions. Module 2, you release what's blocking you. Module 3, you become the version who already has it. Module 4, you activate your energy. Module 5, you turn a manifestation into a lifestyle. And that's because that's what creates that transformational change, because that's where I want you to genuinely succeed. And because there is all these missing skills that you will learn along the way, and I didn't just stop there. Along with that, you'll get those 5 transformational modules. You'll also get online limited access to this course. But you'll also get lifetime workshops for real-time transformation with hot seat coaching with me. Those are run at the weekends. I've also then included my Heal and Manifest series. You will get within that 30 days of subconscious programming, the 30-day challenge with me. You will get the Heal and Manifest essentials. You will also get morning and evening, night audio affirmations. You'll get an AI vision board studio. And then you will get with that the well-being and health lesson 1, completely free. You will also get with that money mastery, how to create more money and how to manage your emotions around money. You'd get with that lesson 1 of NLP. You will get in that lesson 1 of the healer certification. You will get lesson 1 of relationship mastery. You will get that with that also chakra workshop, lesson 1. And all of this would total to 5,000. You've got lifetime access. You've got lifetime access to this course and also the weekend intensives. Now, this is my flagship program. So this I run every month, 1 weekend every month. So that's what you will get with me now. Today, you're not going to get it for that much because that's what the value is. And I'm going to bring the price down to $4.95. But again, I'm not going to give it to you for $4.95. It'll be for $1.95. So you can join this. You can either click on that QR code, put your phone onto that QR code, or I will put the link to check out in the chat, and I will put it into the YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, it'll be in the show notes there. Now, this is less than what people spend each month on coffees, takeaways, on subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about. And here's what I want you to remember. You're not just buying videos here. You're not buying worksheets. You're investing in becoming the person your future is waiting for. Imagine where you could be 90 days from now. Instead of repeating the same patterns, you started intentionally creating new patterns. Imagine waking up feeling calmer, confident, feeling healthier, having better relationships, feeling excited about your future. That's what's possible when you stop trying to change your circumstances and you start to change yourself. So, if you've got that feeling inside you saying, I think this is what I need, this is what I'm looking for, then I'd love to welcome you into Manifestation Mastery. I genuinely believe it has the potential to change your life because I know that it changed my life. But equally, if tonight has just given you that hope or that one new insight, then I'm grateful that you are here because my mission has always been bigger than just selling a course. My mission is to help people realize that they're far more capable than they've ever believed. So let's move on to the next part, the missing piece number 3, which is healing the emotional patterns of the past. Okay, now, what I want you to do here is I want to give you something whether you decide to join Manifestation Mastery or not, whether today is just the beginning of your journey. I don't want you to leave exactly as you arrived. I'd love you to experience what emotional healing actually feels like. Not just hear me talk about it, but I want you to firsthand experience it. So, if you're comfortable, I'd like you to place both your feet on the floor. Take a nice deep breath in and just breathe out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to see if I can just play some music in the background. Okay. This is 432 Hertz, healing music. And I want to just check in. Is my music and my voice clear? If you want to give me a quick thumbs up and just let me know. Is the music and my voice clear? Okay, amazing. Take a deep breath in, close your eyes if it's comfortable and you're comfortable where you are. And breathe out. I want you to relax your shoulders and clench that jaw. And let's drift away for a few moments. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. Nothing else you need to do. This time is just for you. I want you to think about one area of your life. The area where you feel stuck. For your health, relationships, your money, your career, or it could just simply be the way you've been. I don't want you to analyze it. Notice what comes to your mind. And I want you to ask yourself something. When was the last time I felt this? Maybe something comes up immediately. Maybe nothing comes up at all. That's completely okay. Just trust whatever comes up. And now ask yourself another question. If this feeling could speak, what would it say? Perhaps I'm not good enough. I'm scared. I don't want to fail. Or nobody understands me. Or I have to do everything myself. Whatever emotion comes up, I just want you to notice. I want you to imagine that version of yourself. Maybe that version is younger. Maybe they're exactly as you are today. I want you to see them standing in front of you. Notice the expression on their face. Notice how they're feeling. And instead of judging them, just be with them. Because most of us have spent years trying to get rid of our emotions instead of listening to them. every emotion has been trying to protect you. Even if today it no just imagine yourself, your hands over your heart. Repeat after me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing the best for you. Today I choose something different. Now we're going to use a beautiful Hawaiian healing practice called simple 4 phrases. But remember, just magic words. They're an intention. They're a conversation with yourself. Conversation with your subconscious mind. Conversation with life. I want you to repeat them silently after me, allowing yourself to feel them. I'm sorry. The times I've judged myself for believing that I wasn't enough, for carrying pain I was never meant to carry alone. Please forgive me for criticizing myself, for doubting myself, for believing I had to be perfect, for expecting more from myself than I would ever expect from someone I love. Thank you for every lesson, every challenge, for every experience that helped me become who I am today. Even when I didn't understand it at the time. I love you exactly as you are. Not when you've achieved more. Not when you've lost that weight. Not when you've earned more money. Not when everyone approves. Now, just as you are. You need to breathe in, breathe out. And I want you to imagine that other version, the younger, current version, looking back at you. Notice how they seem now. Perhaps they've softened. Maybe they're smiling. Perhaps nothing's changed. That's okay too. Because healing isn't about forcing something to happen. It's about creating the space. Before you open your eyes, I'd like you to make one more promise to yourself. Simple promise. Maybe it's something like, I'll be kinder to myself. I'll stop speaking to myself like my own worst enemy. I'll ask for help when I need it. I'll look after my health. I'll stop waiting for permission. Whatever it is, make that promise to yourself. And when you're ready, take a deep breath in and out. And again, when you're ready, open your eyes. And let me know in the chat or in the comments, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Lighter. Yeah, beautiful. So just want you to notice something, right? Because nothing outside has changed. Your bank account hasn't changed. Your relationship hasn't changed. Your circumstances have changed. They haven't, have they? Yet you feel different. You feel lighter, calmer, peaceful. Why? Because the moment that your inner world begins to shift, your experience of the outer world also begins to shift. And that's why I believe that healing is the first step to creating any lasting transformation. Now, today we've explored 3 missing pieces. The first one was become, because lasting change begins with changing yourself, not with changing circumstances. Then the second was practice, because transformation isn't a one-time event. It's something that you create every day. And finally, heal, because you can't expect tomorrow to feel different if yesterday is running the show. And when you heal the emotional patterns of the past, you create that space for something new. When you align your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs and actions, you become someone new. And when you become someone new, you naturally begin creating a different life. Now, I hope that today you've realized something, that you're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not late. You don't need fixing. You simply need a process that helps you become who you always were capable of being. So, whether I see you inside of Manifestation Mastery or whether our paths don't cross again, that's absolutely fine. I want you to leave with one final thought. The life you're dreaming about isn't waiting for you to become perfect. It's waiting for you to become you. I just want to thank you for the time that you've spent with me and the fact that you're feeling lighter, calmer. It's been an absolute privilege. And I wish you every success on your journey. And with that, I just want to say take care. And I'll hopefully will see you again very soon, whether it's on my channel, whether it's inside of Manifestation Mastery, whichever way I serve you. Just want to say, heal what no longer serves you. Align with who you are becoming, with your authentic self, so that you can start manifesting the life that has been waiting for you all along. So with that, just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me, and I will